Are you a girlfriend guy?
Are you a boyfriend girl?
Chances are, with your lagna lord in the 7th house, relationships can play an extremely significant role in your life.
Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. So today we will be covering some of our observations for anyone that has their lagna lord placed in the 7th house of their astrological birth chart. And make sure you watch all the way to the end to see our tips on how you can maximize and take the most advantage of this placement.
So this video will apply to you if you have the lord of your ascendant sign going into the 7th house from your ascendant in your astrological birth chart, or if the lord of your moon sign goes to the 7th house from the moon.
Remember that the lagna or ascendant lord is a pivotal planet, and it represents the self, vitality, and your overall life path.
When the lagna lord is placed in the 7th house, it influences the native's life through the themes associated with the 7th house. Those include relationships and marriage, business partnerships, trade and commerce, other people in general, so the public or the marketplace, the place where everyone from the public gathers. And that's because the 1st house of your birth chart most represents the self and you as an individual. So the 7th house, being the furthest house away from the 1st house, represents the opposite. It represents everyone else. And also travel, and that's because the 7th house is associated with roads or paths, both figuratively and literally, like a road that you would go down in a car, or like the path that you're taking through life.
With any lagna lord placement, there are some general positive and negatives associated with it. And of course, it will depend on your individual birth chart and all of their planetary placements. But in general, some positives that we have noticed with the lagna lord placed in the 7th house. First being strong focus on relationships. So the presence of the lagna lord in the 7th house often makes your relationships, both your personal and your professional relationships, a central theme in your life. If the lagna lord is well placed, it can indicate a supportive and compatible spouse who plays a very significant role in your life. This placement can also give you the ability to attract a partner who mirrors or complements your personality, and your spouse may actually enhance your social standing. So somehow make your position in life better or promoted in some way. It can also bring influential or supportive business partners. So remember that the 7th house is also business relationships or your marriage or spousal relationships. So you can get business partners into your life that will help you excel in fields, especially fields like law, counseling, public relations, things where your interpersonal relationships are key.
One of the other positive traits that we can see happening with someone who has the lagna lord placed in the 7th house is a potentially charming personality or public recognition. The lagna lord placed in the 7th house can enhance a person's ability to engage with others, making them sociable and well-liked. And this can orient the person towards being around or having something to do with other people all the time. So this is kind of a social butterfly. This is someone that wants to be around people for the most part, unless it's severely afflicted, and then they might have negative experiences with other people, but we'll get to that.
Another positive for anyone with the lagna lord in the 7th house is they tend to have a balanced approach to life. And that's because when you think of the original primordial birth chart, Libra would be the 7th house, the original 7th house. and that is the most balanced sign in all of the zodiacs. The lagna lord in the 7th house often indicates a balanced personality as the native integrates their individuality, which is of course represented by the lagna itself or the 1st house, and the needs of others, which is represented by the 7th house. So you're balanced. You're representing yourself as well as others. This can orient you towards fairness and cooperation with others, which we mentioned before, that social butterfly, the business dealings, things like that. And it can also enhance your ability to negotiate with others.
So those are a lot of positive qualities about having the lagna lord in the 7th house. What are some of the negatives that can potentially take place, especially if this placement is afflicted in any way in your birth chart? One thing that we have is an over-reliance on relationships can take place. So this person may prioritize partnerships to the point of losing their individuality or becoming overly dependent on others for validation. Remember, the 7th is the furthest from the 1st, like we said. So in the original birth chart, like Lindsay was talking about, this is the furthest sign or the furthest house away from the natural significations of Aries. And when you think about the natural significations of Aries, that's where individuality comes from. That's where being alone comes from. That's where doing your own thing comes from. And so it's the opposite of that. It's doing what other people want you to do, right, or doing what the group is doing.
Yeah, or getting lost in your relationship, like you were saying. Yeah. Hence, our beginning, are you a boyfriend girl or a girlfriend guy? Meaning you are way obsessed with your relationship and what they think of you.
Yeah, and don't have your own life or identity, really. So that can happen if this is a really, really afflicted position in your chart. So also, challenges in your marriage or partnerships can take place. So if the lagna lord is afflicted in the 7th house, it can lead to conflicts, delays, or dissatisfaction in marriage or partnerships. So one of the simplest examples of this is if Saturn is aspecting your 7th house. If Saturn is aspecting your 7th house or conjunct the lagna lord in the 7th house, that could just very simply mean that it takes a long time for you to find the right relationship, or that there's a delay in getting married or finding the right person. So another example of this would be if Mars was creating an affliction here. There could be a lot of arguments or even breakups in relationships. Also, an afflicted Jupiter as the lagna lord placed in the 7th house, or just in the 7th house in general with your lagna lord, if it is afflicted, can make you have a very controlling or dictatorial spouse, because Jupiter represents kind of like the energy of a general or a commander. So it can bring that kind of commanding energy into your relationship where you're like, man, could we just like be in love? Like, yeah, you don't have to like tell me what to do every second, you know? Yeah. So that can take place.
Another negative possibly is there's potential for conflicts also in your public dealings, just like in your relationships. Your public dealings could have conflicts. So if the lagna lord is afflicted or poorly placed, the native may face disputes or legal issues in business or public interactions. Remember, the 7th house signifies the marketplace, the public in general. So if there's an affliction here or malefic influence here, that can be a bad experience in relation to the public.
So one of the other negatives that this position can potentially indicate is losing one's way through life. Since the 7th house represents roads or your path through life, what's directly in front of you, as we talked about before, a badly afflicted 7th house can make a person wander aimlessly, or literally or figuratively. So Parashara in Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra actually says this, that if this position is negative in any way, then it can cause wandering or even wanderlust. So a person could want to travel or go to a lot of different places, but in a way that is unproductive or unfruitful for them. So you could lose your way or your path through life and end up taking a path that you didn't originally intend to take with this placement. And one of the biggest things that could catalyze this or cause this to happen is if you end up in a bad relationship that comes in and influences you into the wrong direction.
So in Vedic astrology, to kind of really hone in on when this is most likely to happen for a person, we always look at the dasha periods. Because the effects of the lagna lord placed in the 7th house, whether they're positive or negative, are going to become most prominent during its planetary period or dasha, or of course the sub-periods. The other thing to pay attention to is the sign placement that the lagna lord is sitting in. So it depends if the lagna lord is in a friendly sign, exalted, debilitated, enemy sign. That's going to shape the expression and the results as well. So for example, if you are a Virgo lagna and you have Mercury sitting in the 7th house, debilitated, because he's in the sign of Pisces. That might give some of the more negative results that we discussed in this video, especially if there's malefic influence or conjunction or even aspect.
What are some of the tips that we have to help you mitigate any potential negatives that could take place as a result of this placement and maximize the positives? The first tip is choose your partners wisely. You always hear about everyone always has someone in their family where they say, oh, she has a broken picker.
her picker's off, or her ticker. Yes.
It's
or
picker.
Picker. Yes. Or picker. It might be you or your friends or whoever.
Bless her heart. She's got a broken picker. She's got to figure that out. So you want to choose your partner wisely as possible. You want to put effort into who do I want to be with and who would have my best interest in mind. So just as a bad relationship can take you off of the right path in life, a good relationship or business partner for you can be your saving grace.
So another tip for you is to move away from home, if you can, to help you find some prosperity. That's because, again, as we've mentioned, the 7th house is the furthest house from the first house of yourself. And that can also represent your birthplace. So, prosperity, or the right business partners, or the right spouse might be easier to find if you move further away from where you were born and raised.
So our final tip to help you maximize the positive outcomes of having your lagna lord placed in the 7th house is to bolster your communication skills in whatever way you can. The 3rd house is the 9th house from the 7th house of your birth chart, and that means that when you focus on 3rd house related matters, the luck of your 7th house will increase in your life. So the 3rd house represents your communication. So when you focus on increasing your ability to communicate effectively, your romantic relationship and business partnerships will benefit from this and become more fruitful.
We hope you enjoyed this video, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and don't forget to visit us at atmaoccult.com, where we can help you learn more about your individual birth chart.